Hey everybody, this is Vex, and I'm gonna make a video here. Uh, believe I am going to be making a Savanna map, which I haven't done for the channel before. Probably because the first time I did a Savanna map, I wasn't quite sure how it was gonna work out, so I needed to play around with it. And the way I do this is down here in the forest clearing. I made some grass tilings, and I'm gonna use the thicker one, I think. And I'm gonna stack these up for my grass, and I am gonna mark where the edges of this map are. And this time I'm gonna be better than I was last time. Come on, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which means right here. So everything inside those white squares is our map. And we're going to group this, and we're going to call this grass. Now, this grass is kind of still not savanna-y enough, I guess, for my taste. So I'm going to go ahead and put a another layer on top of it that's yellow, and then I'm going to make this op opaque a little bit. I'm going to zoom in and see what that looks like. I like that, the way that looks. I think that's what I did last time. And so it looks a little bit more yellow. It might even be too yellow. It might take it down to 35. Because savannas, tend to be kind of dry grass. Not dry, but just yellowish. Just looks better that way. And then savannas are generally large open areas, so you don't have to add a whole lot of details. We're we're gonna go ahead and we are gonna do some variants, a day, a night, and a camp. I'm not gonna do a road because I imagine savannas, the paths through the savannas, immediately you're just pushing through the grass, and so I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go over here to these desert. These are what I'm gonna use, these bushes, and then I'm gonna put some trees in, and that's pretty much it. I on the last one I put some rocks, and I didn't really like the way that looked because I imagine the savanna doesn't have a whole lot of rocks. I'm gonna go ahead and leave the scale as it is, and there's a reason I don't include a whole lot of these. I'm gonna get rid of stick to grid uh, with my packs, and that is because the way I see it, there's not really a whole lot of savanna areas in Cholt. But some people have mentioned that they treat certain areas of the map as savanna rather than, say, like rocky areas. And it kind of makes sense to me because Chult is kind of the in some people's minds, Chult is more like Africa than South America. For some reason, in my mind, when I think of Chult, I think of South America, personally, like that kind of a jungle. Um, and I think I'll do. I do more bushes than normal because that's about all the details you can really add. And I think I may move some of these because I want to put the camp kind of in the center. Is it going to let me select those? Oh, it's not because they're grouped. You know what? Actually, I'm going to show you guys a different way. So this is called bushes. So instead of ungrouping and then moving, if I go into and then I use the selection tool uh, with those selected, I can move them over. I think I'm going to go all the way out to the edge. And I'm going to move another group too. I'm going to move these further out. And now when I go back to the root, I didn't have to ungroup to do that. And now I'm going to put my camp right in here. So let's see, what other kind of details what might we add with other than trees? Um, there are some bones and things that I could add, but I'm not really sure that's really what I want to do because that kind of pigeonholes the DM into adding those details um, to their description. And you don't want to add water or anything like that. So I think the only other thing we can add is some trees. And I don't have any deserty trees. I do have some fall trees. I don't want to add palm trees because palm trees are generally more in a wet area. I think I'm gonna do one of these yellow trees. I could do a fallen tree. If I do a fallen tree, I might do the yellow one is fallen. Nah, I don't really want to do a fallen tree now that I think about it. I think I'm just gonna do two trees. They're both gonna be fairly large. So let me take the scale up to 150. I'll lock it. I'm gonna put one of them. They're both gonna be out towards the edges. I think I'm gonna do one here and one over here. I'm gonna do this one here, and then a big yellow one right there. And we're gonna go ahead and group those trees. And we'll do our usual thing. We're gonna add the long shadow, move the distance out. I always like that one angle. Don't know why. Probably because I'm just stuck in my ways. And then we'll move the opacity down. And then we're gonna go ahead and now these are probably too big. Go like 100. And I think I'll use this one but make it a little bit bigger. And we'll group these stumps and that underneath. And that's pretty much a savanna map. Savannas are featureless. That's the idea behind a savanna is there's not a whole lot of stuff going on. Anything more, and we've got it's almost like it's too busy to be a savanna. Savannas are grasslands. I mean, if you go to, as you can see, I'm watching something on Twitch right now. If you go to Google and search for savanna and do an image search, I mean, it is. Look at that. That's a stereotypical savanna in my mind. Got a few trees. There's not even bushes in this particular one. In this one, there's like some little bushes and a few sparse trees. So Sorry, I had to type a response to somebody there really quick. But yeah, I mean, even this one, that is. I probably need to make some trees that are devoid of any foliage. Um, but yeah, I think I did a pretty good job filling in. This looks like a savanna to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and extract. Or well, first I'm gonna make the camp. The camp will go. It doesn't really matter, but right about there. So let me go ahead and do the camp stuff, and it'll all be in one group, so we can turn it on and off really easily. And if you've seen me do this before, um, let's put that right there. We'll build the camp around it. I'm gonna put a cook pot. What are we at? Oh yeah, everything's real big. That's why. It's okay that the fire's a little big. I don't mind that. I want to get rid of stick to grid. There we go. Put the cook pot right there. Um, just so it's under the fire. Let's see. What other details do we want? Let's go ahead and see. Now is where I'm thinking. I wish I had done the fallen tree, but I think what I'm gonna do instead is I'm gonna do put this here. I'm gonna grab another stump and we'll put it like right here, as if the party chopped down a tree for wood. Oh, you know what? Even better. Use this one, and then they've got a pile of wood. I don't think they'd pile it up like that, all organized. It'd be more like this. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do random angle, and I'm gonna stack a couple of these as if they just got like a pile of wood that's ready to go on the fire, and they've got that big old log. There used to be a tree there though. That's the idea. Uh, we're gonna go ahead and put up a tent, and I think I used different tent in the last map, so I like to mix them up. I'm gonna spin this one so that it looks like about like this, and then we're gonna do some bedrolls. I need to take these down. I think 75 is the right way. Let's do random angle, and because I have that tent there, I don't want to do any others. I'll put some backpacks as well. That one, I want to move that on top of everything. And we'll do another backpack right there. And let's see, do we want any other details for our camp? I don't think we do. I think that's good. That's a nice little camp. Okay, so I'm gonna group all of this together. Call it camp. Okay, we're gonna turn it off for now because the first variant we're gonna export is going to be our just regular version. And there's our edges. Our map is nice and blank, which is the way a savanna should look. And this time I did get it up, set it up as 25 by 25. So we're gonna go ahead and export that one. Okay, and we're gonna put this in our random maps. This one is going to be called, I think it's Savanna 02, because I've only made one other Savanna map. Yeah, Savanna 02. And yeah, okay. So that's our day and night version. And then we're going to do a version where there's a night version with a camp. Except I'm going to go ahead and do the grid ones so I can show you the full process of how I do both grid and. So let me do the grid version. I don't usually do all of this in these videos. I just do to show you the overall. But I like to include all of it in my one Photoshop file so that I can easily export from one place. Kind of the same way I do with Dungeon Painter Studio. I export all these different variants. So this is Savanna 02 grid. And then we're going to go ahead and turn the camp on. And we're going to export. Turn the grid off. Ugh. So, come on. Hurry up. Okay, there we go. So this one is called camp. And then we're going to export another one with the grid of the same thing. And the reason I do the grids is simply because there are plenty of people out there who buy the PDF versions of my my expanded Tomb of Annihilation um, or whatever I'm making currently. This is for expanded Tomb of Annihilation, but they like the gridded maps. I didn't do that for my Dungeon of the Mad Mage stuff, and I think that was probably a detriment. I probably should have. However, it is fairly easy to add a grid with the grid key square that I do. So those are our four versions that are exported. I didn't save this, so I'm going to go ahead and save this. And I'm just going to save it as Savanna 2. I'm going to get rid of the camp grid. And we can go ahead and close this because I've done all the exporting. And just so if you're following along, I'm doing this one right here in my notes. But we're going to go ahead and open up Explorer. Go to DPS, go to expanded. They're in here. We're going to scroll all the way down to Savanna. And you can look at all the nice icons for games that I just don't have time to play. That's what those are. Because I'm always working on this stuff for Fantasy Grounds. Okay, we're going to drag all these on here. They're all the same size, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm going to delete the one that's called background because I dragged a copy of it out here. I'm going to select all of these, and I'm going to rasterize them just in case I need to do any kind of editing. I don't in this case. I like to group things so that I've got like the version, the grid version, then the version, the grid version. So we are going to need two different darkness layers, and then a firelight layer, and then the 2-minute logo layer. So 2-minute logo. This one's going to be firelight. This one's going to be darkness with fire. And this one will just be darkness. And so these two are going to be at 50% opacity. And I'm going to go ahead and hit both of them with my paint bucket. Now, both of them won't be on at once. Only one of them will be on at once. So we're going to go ahead and click that one off. Because the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the light. So we got our brush tool. If you've seen me do this before, you know I really like this HP Brush Final 1. Um, and 200 pixels is fine. I could probably go a little bit bigger, but for now this is fine. I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit. I want to be able to see out to about here. Actually, maybe I will go. That's a big fire. I used a bigger fire, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like fire is gonna go out to about here. Like that's the dim light. So that's where I'm gonna go ahead and start. Oh, you know what? I just realized I'm painting on. Forgot to actually create the mask first. So we were down here, and if you haven't seen me do this before, I created a mask layer so that as I paint on the mask, it takes away the like the darkness. And so right here, I'm gonna go ahead and do something special because the firelight would kind of stop the light, or the tent would stop the light. Um, as you can see, I'm not like completely filling in every little area. That's one of the reasons I use this particular brush, because I actually like it to be kind of smoky and textured, but I am filling in most of it. And the closer I get to here, the more I want it filled in, the closer I get to the center. So that's our one circle. And we're going to go ahead and do another circle that goes out about to here. And again, like the light is being blocked by the tent. So that's why there's not any light going behind the tent, because there would be like a shadow. The tent would create a shadow. Um, and I'm gonna go ahead and go just a little bit more so it matches like the length over here, just a tiny bit. Okay, and then we're gonna go out halfway again, just to about there, and fill it in. And there we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and click a whole bunch right here around the fire just to get rid of any darkness that's left over. Because the fire, right where the fire is immediately, it just looks better if it gets it's really bright there. Maybe a little bit around because it's a bigger fire. Okay, so that's our darkness with fire. Next thing we need to do is the firelight. And if you've seen me do this before, I basically use the same brush. I go orange a little bit and kind of get a color that looks a little bit like that. And then because we're not painting with a layer mask this time, we are we're going to start from the inside and work our way out. So this is our immediate firelight area, and then I'm gonna let go of the mouse button and go out a little bit further. And then we're gonna go a little bit further. And I usually don't go out into the dim light area. I just go to like the extent of the where the brightest, or the where the bright light would go, I guess, if that makes sense. My circle's a little oblong, and I do fill in here quite a bit where the and then I'll click a few times on top of the fire just to get it really bright right there. And then I start playing with the opacity. I usually go down to at least 50, and then I usually go down a little bit lower. That looks pretty good though. 40, 35. 35 looks better. It adds just a little bit of firelight color to things. And that's what I'm looking for. I don't want it overpoweringly yellow. I just want it a little bit. So at this point, we are ready to export all the different versions. And I'm not going to go through saving each of those in this video. You don't need to see how each of those work. I don't want to waste 20 minutes of your time. Keep this video nice and short, which is how making a Savanna map should be, because there's not a whole lot to do. But basically, what I would do is take all of these off. That's Savanna Day with no grid. Click this one. That's Savanna Day with a grid. Click this one. Turn this one off. That's Savanna Night, no grid. Savanna Night with a grid. Go ahead and take this one off. Do this one and this one and this one. That is Savanna at night with a camp with no grid. Click this one. That's Savanna Night with a grid, with and a camp. And that's basically, there you go. I've got 3 different variants, and in each of them is gridded as well. All built into one Photoshop file, which I'm now going to save. And that's what I want to save it as. And they're all right there, ready to export. And that's the general way of putting it all into one Photoshop file. Now, once you have this Photoshop file, technically you can go back into this folder, and you could delete all of these if you wanted to. I like keeping all of the working folder or working source stuff that I have, just in case anything screws up and I can rebuild it. But at some point, I may go back and start deleting some of the old stuff because I'm never going to go back to it. But that is how I manage doing multiple variants of a map, all with one Photoshop file. It's all ready to go. And that way, if I ever need to add some little detail, even if I wanted to add, for instance, like, okay, let's say I like this map, but I want to add. We talked about adding some bones to the map, right? What if I wanted to do that? I don't want to have to go back into Dungeon Painter Studio, re-extract all of those things. Instead, what I can do is actually go to my objects folder on and where my hold on, let me drag this over here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm in my 2-minute tabletop stuff, or my Dungeon Painter Studio, then my 2-minute tabletop collection in objects, and these are where all the folders are. I think, for instance, the bones and stuff. Were they in Grey Banner? No, they're not in Grey Banner Arena. They're in Underdark tokens. Well, there's like human bones, but where? I know I've got some big bones, and there's like a dragon skull. Is it trap tokens? Well, hand warmer. That's funny. It's called hand warmer. No, it's not in here. Where are those? I'm having a hard time remembering where those are. I know they're in my big furniture folder. It's just finding them. Are they down here at the bottom? Nope, wait, I thought I could have swore I saw skull. Dragon skull? No, the giant skull. So if I open this up, then copy it, paste it in here. If I wanted to add this feature, I could just drag this in. Now it's below. If I drag it below there, now it's like it's in the firelight. And if I think, oh, that's too big of a dragon skull, or it's not big enough, now sticking it under the tree, I would have to go into Dungeon Painter Studio. But if I wanted to stick it right here, just so it's in the firelight, in the darkness, or I wanted to move it wherever or turn it, I can do that. And now that is a part of this map if I needed to export it. Now I'm not going to, but that's to show you what you could do and how you can easily come back and modify multiple versions just by adding something into the Now if you did want to add it so that it was under the tree, technically what you could do is you could copy just a little bit of that layer, and then make a copy of that layer. For instance, hold on, let me do edit, undo, delete layer. Let's move this over. Oop. Let me move layer one. Will let me move? Yeah, it's not gonna let me move. I need to move layer one up here on top first. Okay. Let me move it here. If we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it right. We're gonna turn that. Okay, we're gonna put it right there, and now we'll put it in the right layer. And this is the visible layer currently, so we'll use that one. And then we're going to use the lasso tool. Let me get rid of this. It's not really gotten rid of. It's just I'm just copying a little bit. I'm not being super careful. Okay, that's probably good. Just back far enough. Okay, we're gonna copy that, paste it. Now we're gonna stick it on top of that layer. Now it's not opaque, right? So that's the next thing we gotta do is we gotta make it see-through so that we can see the skull, and probably go, if we go 60, that's probably going to match the best because we went 60% when we made the trees. Now, when I did this, I used very straight edges. I would probably smudge these out. I have a weird smudge tool selected right now. Just use the soft round. Yeah, I'll smudge these edges a little bit. And now it looks like that skull is half under that tree. Looks pretty cool, but again, I I wouldn't include this in a map that I was going to sell. But for those of you who are making maps for your own use, if you wanted some skulls out in the savannah, some giant skulls, that's pretty cool looking, and that's how I would do that after I had this map and wanted to manipulate it. And we're gonna go ahead and end the video right there because I've already gone over 30 minutes, which probably shouldn't have for such a short map. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope I showed you something that inspired you or taught you something. See you later.